The Judgment Infrastructure Podcast, Season 1, Why System Beat Talent, Episode 1, The Talent Myth. Welcome to the Judgment Infrastructure Podcast. This show explores a simple but uncomfortable idea. Most organizations do not fail because of effort. They fail because of infrastructure. In business conversation around the world, one complaint appears again and again. Executives say, we cannot find good people. Government say, there is a talent shortage. University promise, we will produce more skilled graduates. But when we examine the world's most successful institution, a very different pattern appears. Consider a few examples. McDonald's runs more than 40,000 restaurants globally. Toyota operates one of the most efficient production systems in history. Amazon manages fulfillment centers the size of small cities. Starbucks delivers a consistent experience across thousands of stores. These organizations do not scale because they discover tens of thousands of geniuses. They scale because they build systems that make ordinary people effective. And that brings us to the central thesis of today's episode. Talent is rarely the constraint. Infrastructure is. Part 1. The 2080 Insight. The 2080 rule, also known as a Pareto principle, tells us that a small number of causes usually drive the majority of outcomes. In workforce performance, the same pattern appears. The 20% factor that drives 80% of organizational capability is not talent. It is system design. Most companies misunderstand this. They believe results come primarily from hiring exceptional individuals. But the high-performing organization design infrastructure that multiply average capability. Let us look at how this works. Example 1, McDonald's. McDonald does not depend on extraordinary chefs. Instead, it builds an operational infrastructure that includes standardized kitchen layouts, predefined cooking time, automated equipment, training menus, supply chain synchronization. The system transforms inexperienced workers into reliable operators within weeks. This is infrastructure. Example 2, Toyota. Toyota's famous Toyota production system is not a talent strategy. It is a process architecture. Workers follow structured routines, visual control boards, standardized work, continuous improvement loops, error detection system. The system is designed so that mistakes become visible immediately. That dramatically reduces reliance on individual brilliance. Example 3, Amazon. Amazon fulfillment network functions like a living algorithm. Warehouse workers are guided by handheld scanner, route optimization software, real-time inventory systems, predictive logistic models. The worker is not the brain of operation. The system is. The real 20%, Across industries, the pattern repeats. The organization that scale effectively invests in 4 invisible infrastructure. First, process infrastructure. Second, training infrastructure. Third, information infrastructure. Fourth, decision infrastructure. These systems determine whether an organization can operate reliably at scale. When those systems are weak, companies blame talent, but the problem is almost always structural. Part 2. The 5 whys of the talent shortage. To understand why companies misdiagnose this problem, we can apply the 5 why sprint techniques, originally popularized by Toyota. Let us start with the common complaint. We have a talent shortage. Now we ask why. Why 1? Why do companies believe they have a talent shortage? Because performance varies widely between employees. Some people perform well, others struggle. Managers conclude the difference must be individual ability. But that leads to the next question. Why 2? Why does performance vary so much between individuals? Because work processes are often unclear or inconsistent. When procedures are undefined, success depends heavily on personal judgment and experience. In other words, the systems force individuals to improvise. Why 3? Why are processes unclear? Because many organizations scale faster than their operational documentation. Founders and early employees carry knowledge in their heads. But when the organization grows, that knowledge is never converted into formal infrastructure. The result is organizational memory loss. Why 4? Why does documentation and process infrastructure remain weak? Because companies often prioritize speed over systemization. They hire more people instead of improving the system. In the short term, this works, but over time it creates complexity and confusion. Why 5? Why do leaders prefer hiring over system design? Because infrastructure work is invisible. Building systems requires patience. Hiring talents produces immediate psychological comfort. It feels like progress, but it is often a temporary solution to a structural problem. Part 3. Superstar culture versus system culture. Organizations tend to fall into 2 cultural models, the superstar culture or the system culture. Superstar culture. In superstar culture, performance depends on a few exceptional individuals. Knowledge is concentrated in experts. Decision-making is centralized. Processes are loosely defined. This creates fragility. If key individuals leave, the organization struggles. System culture. In system culture, knowledge is documented. Training is structured. Processes are standardized. Decisions follow repeatable logic. The organization becomes resilient. It no longer depends on rare individuals. Instead, capability becomes embedded in the system itself. Part 4. The future. Infrastructure capital. The next decade will accelerate this shift. 3 major forces are changing: workforce design, artificial intelligence, AI systems increasingly automate routine cognitive tasks. This reduces the skill required for many entry-level roles, which means organizations must design AI-supported workflows. Knowledge codification. Digital platforms allow companies to capture institutional knowledge more effectively. Training manuals are evolving into knowledge bases, decision trees, automated workflows, capability architecture. Leading companies now think in terms of capability architecture. They design organizations like engineers design machines. Every process has input, outputs, feedback loops, failure detection mechanism. In this model, talent still matters, but it operates within infrastructure, not in place of it. Closing reflection. Let us return to the central claim of today's episode. Most companies believe they have a talent shortage, but when we apply the 2080 rules and the 5 Why, we discover something different. The real constraint is usually system designs. High-performance organizations do not scale because they hire thousands of geniuses. They scale because they build infrastructure that multiply human capability. And this insight changes how leaders should think about workforce strategy. Instead of asking, where do we find better people? The more powerful question becomes, what system would allow ordinary people to perform extraordinarily well? Because in the long run, individuals come and go, but infrastructure endure. Next week on the Judgment Infrastructure Podcast, Episode 2, Capability Architecture, How Organizations Turn Knowledge into Systems. Until then, remember, talent builds companies, infrastructure builds institutions.